Welcome to Cohesive Home Podcast Lucky, episode number 13. In today's episode, we're sharing our thoughts on creating a simpler closet and shopping with purpose. If you're like us and already thinking about fall clothes, or are just really curious about what it's like to have a minimalist closet but still want to look awesome, then this podcast is for you.
Cohesive Home is a podcast for families desiring an uncomplicated life, looking for inspiration to create your unique family culture and values-driven home. Kate and Melissa, two best friends and laid-back minimalists from opposite ends of the country, chat about all things parenthood, living simply, and crafting a happier home.
So, Melissa thought it would be fun to chat about minimalism and clothes in this episode, and I was totally on board because I kind of need some help myself. And who better to help than Melissa, who happened to be a lifestyle blogger in another life. Sorry to tell your secret, Melissa.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, that was a past life for sure. Oh man.
We all have that. We all try things out and decide, it didn't really work.
Yeah, it was really hard standing in front of a camera with like outfits that I thought were somewhat cute, and like have Brandon take pictures of me. But, there are some women that pull that off so well. I am just not one of them. So, so my past life was, I had a blog called Pineapple Lily. Yeah, don't ask. It's just a fun name. And yeah, I did some style stuff. But I will say, I didn't even dabble in minimalism at that point.
Right.
So, my closet was in no way cohesive. My closet was just a haphazard smorgasbord of random things. And so, I'm excited to talk about that today. Just how minimalism or viewing my wardrobe in a minimalist mindset allows me to streamline it in a way that's not overwhelming or, I don't know, just it's simpler.
Right.
It's easier to deal with.
Well,
and you could probably create a lot more styles out of what I own now than what I did back then.
Right, and probably feel better about everything that you're wearing instead of, I'm sure some of you that are listening have this problem or have in the past where you look in your closet and you're like, how do I have so many pieces of clothing and nothing to wear?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so do you want to maybe explain to our listeners kind of how your wardrobe works and what doesn't work and what you like about it, what you don't like about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I used to have a very crowded closet, and when my husband and I first got married, we had your very typical apartment with the big walk-in closets. Did you ever have one of those, Melissa?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
Right?
They were like as big as the bedroom.
And I was so excited about that. It was such a huge selling point. So I could fit, all of my clothes from high school on, right? All the
Yes, I actually, a side note, I had a neighbor. I remember walking into her apartment, which, mirrored ours. And I walked in and she was like, yeah, do you want to borrow a pair of jeans? Because I was going out or something that night. And we go into her closet and it's like 30 pairs of jeans are hanging up in her closet.
Goodness.
And I was just like, even then, even in college, I thought, why does somebody need this many pair of jeans? She didn't even fit into half of them.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
Side note. Okay, go on.
Well, yeah.
Apartment.
I totally rocked the walk-in closet. I had my shelves were overflowing. I would find clothes on the bottom of my closet that had fallen off hangers, and I would forget about them for months. right? So just to give all of you listening an idea of the epic proportions of my closet before I became a minimalist. And then, as many of you know, I had a couple kids and my body kind of changed and things didn't quite fit the same way, as well as, the pieces of clothing you can wear pre-kids versus after you have kids are totally different, right? Like the fabrics and the colors.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Right. And so, so I've over the past couple of years, I've really whittled down my wardrobe to probably about 40 pieces.
Yeah.
At the most.
Yeah. Is that seasonal or is it 40 like total?
You know what?
All seasons.
I'll be honest, I have not counted, but I would say that's probably everything. And there are some places, that I'd like to fill out within my wardrobe now that I've gotten to a good minimum. But it's pretty sparse.
Well, and I think that's something else. If we don't touch on it today, we can touch on it another time. But the differences between location. Because I know now that you've moved up to Indiana, you're going to need bulkier, heavier, larger, but, bulkier pieces.
Warmer.
Warmer. That's the better word. You need warmer pieces in order, for the climate. So, but in Oklahoma, I mean, I can easily wear the same shirt in the summer. And like, if I just put it with a cardigan, I can wear it in the winter.
Yes.
So a lot of my stuff is just all season. I mean, I just throw a sweater on and that's it. So,
well, and I think also, I tend to do a lot of layering. Mm-hmm. And so that does allow me to wear some of my favorite pieces year round, if I can pair them with a sweater or something else so that, in the winter or the fall, I'm warmer. So, but I'm also not increasing the number of items in my wardrobe too much.
Right.
So what about you, Melissa? Do you want to talk a little bit about your evolution from being maybe a bit of a clothes hoarder to minimalist?
I mean, I'll be honest, I look back at even my childhood and I would always have a full closet, but I went, well, I won't get into my childhood, but I definitely was a bigger girl when I was little. And I lost a bunch of weight when I was about 15. And so that just completely changed the way I looked at clothes and completely changed the look of my wardrobe. So I had a tendency to kind of just hold on to things, I think, as many of us do, because you think, I used to love that, so I was the typical just hold on to everything because why not? Right. So then I ended up working. I was in Dallas at one point, worked for Neiman Marcus in the buying offices, and my eyes were really opened to the quality of clothing and the price of clothing. And I think that has been my hardest challenge in wanting to have nice pieces.
Right.
But when you are behind the scenes and you understand the markup of things, you almost, it has really put a kink in my ability to purchase something that's more expensive because I'm like, well, that's not necessarily nicer.
Right.
But now when I, look at my closet, I'm somewhat happy with it. I'm not exactly ecstatic about it when I look at it, but I know we were talking before how both of us tend to gravitate towards like blues and gray and black. And so I will say my wardrobe has definitely taken more of a monochromatic look.
Right.
And that's been really nice. So that's,
Well, but you know what? I think especially for moms, you start to develop a certain uniform. And, not only does that ease your dressing in the morning, but it also means that everything kind of goes together. And I think it's actually a good idea to identify what colors look best on you and that you feel comfortable in, and stick to those, a very simple palette.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I know we've talked about it in the past, but have you really tried to do the capsule wardrobe that are popular now? Or do you feel like it's something that you've kind of fallen into just because?
Right. Okay. Well, I would say my entire wardrobe is about the size of a one season capsule wardrobe. So I think that I'm maybe a bit of an extreme case with the number of pieces. So I think I typically hear that, it's somewhere around, say, 33 pieces. Well, I may have only 40 total. So, but I do stick to a pretty tight collection of clothes per season that I rotate, throughout the week.
Yeah. And when you talk about pieces, are you talking, because I never know what people mean when they say I have this many pieces.
Yeah.
That does not include underwear, socks, bras, or does it?
Right. No, if it did, you'd be rotating your underwear every other day because you would only be able to include 2 pairs.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we're talking because this is, I will be honest, I've looked into it before, but I haven't gotten into it so much that I knew the structure of how a capsule wardrobe is supposed to be done. So when I look at my wardrobe, I guess I would say, now I want to go back and count how many pieces of clothing I have, but I wear the same pair of shorts every day, and I have maybe 10 shirts.
Right.
And then I have 2 pairs of jeans. I just don't have that much stuff. I really don't. And trust me, when I go out and if I'm out and I see something cute, I'm like, oh, I kind of want that, but then I stop myself and I'm like, okay, how much would I actually wear that?
And I also think, it's important to mention if you're listening and you're like, okay, I have triple what you have in clothes, or I really love shopping. I really love going out and finding that perfect piece. And that's perfectly okay. Melissa and I are probably both a little extreme with our wardrobes, and we're also trying to find balance. So something that I was talking to Melissa about actually before we started recording is how, I have these ideas for the direction I'd like to take my wardrobe, certain pieces that I know would round it out and that I need. And then things happen like our washing machine leaks all over the basement floor. I have to buy a new one. And so, right, that is part of life, is that I don't have a big clothing budget. I often will buy my kids' clothes first because they have rips in the knees of their pants and they're growing like weeds. And so, it is difficult to prioritize your own wardrobe when there's so many other demands.
Definitely. One thing that we haven't really touched on yet, and I think is a really big thing that within the clothing industry, is making sure that the clothing that we do choose, and that whether it's cheap or it's expensive, is it ethical? Is it made by hands that are well treated? And do you know the source?
Yeah.
You kind of go down those rabbit holes sometimes on YouTube of the ethical, ness of clothing, and they go behind the scenes in these. Okay, maybe no one else does this. Maybe I'm the only one that does that. I went down one rabbit hole one time and it made me really sad. But I learned a lot, and I learned that where we get our clothing really does matter. So again, H&M, I bring them up again because they are doing really good things. And correct me if I'm wrong, anyone that's listening, if you feel that that is not correct, please let us know, email us. But from what I've seen and what I've read about H&M, they are trying to create, ethical working conditions and fair wage and all of those things.
Well, Melissa, I absolutely agree with that. I mean, that is something I am trying to do as well, is slowly transition my wardrobe over to, ethical and fair trade pieces, and preferably made in the U.S., right? So we can, support our own country.
Yes.
But sometimes it just isn't in the budget for me. And so
Yes.
I turn to thrift shops, consignment stores. There's a really nice high-end thrift shop by me. But, I found some really good pieces at Goodwill.
Yeah. Oh, did you know? I didn't know this. I was just informed the other day by my friend Josh, who is actually staying with us at the moment. Goodwill has an online shop. And it's all of their like nice stuff, like super nice high-end stuff. Yes, but it's like eBay. You bid on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know. That might be too much work.
Yeah, but if it's like, okay, he has some really amazing like tailored pants and stuff like that are, I don't remember who they are now, but somebody, super expensive. And he got them for like $20.
Yeah.
So that is something I would really like to look into, because other than in college when I would go thrift store shopping and I would buy, cool t-shirts, I have always stayed away from thrift stores for like my current wardrobe.
Yeah. No, I mean, I totally understand. But one of the things I do like about thrift stores is that you are prolonging the life of a garment. Something that would maybe potentially go in the trash, and be thrown out, and you're giving it another life.
Okay, so why don't we just share a few quick tips on how we get the wardrobe we get, whether it's good or bad. But here are a few things that you can probably take away from this podcast. Hopefully will help you.
Okay, so one of the things I think helped me the most is making sure that my clothing in my closet has breathing room. That means that I don't shove all my clothing in together where I have to, like use an elbow to pry apart the hangers, that sort of thing. And by doing that, you are limiting the number of pieces you have to the size of your closet. So rather than buying just whatever you want and then trying to fit it, you work within the confines of your closet and what you have available space-wise. So actually, right now, my husband and I are sharing a closet that is maybe 3 feet wide. And so, yeah, it's some very limited space right now, but we're having to make it work. Well, what would you say, Melissa? Do you have any tips?
Okay, so I guess my tip would be don't chase trends all the time. I mean, if you put that little all the time at the end, because sometimes trends look really good on you, and other times trends are just there for a season and then they're gone. Like, for instance, I had this like I don't know if it was like a tribal type cardigan. It was really long. I bought it from Forever 21. I wore it like once. People liked it on me. They were like always complimented me on it, but I didn't love it. Like, there was nothing about it that I was like, yes, I want to put that on my body. Because I am more simple. And so from that, I've actually realized I don't like a lot of print. I like just plain colors, or like fabrics that have texture, but not the prints on things. So even though I'll see something and I'm like, oh my God, that's so cute, don't buy it. Like, I won't wear it that often.
And you could just be like me, and I actually have no idea what's in style. I have 2 pairs of Athleta Batona jeggings, and I wear them nearly every day that it's not the summertime, with a racerback tank top and a cowl neck sweater when it's cool. And that's it. Sometimes I wish I was trendier. or that I was aware of what was in style, but I think it actually saves me from spending money that, I either don't want to or from unnecessarily adding pieces to my wardrobe. Well, Melissa, do you have a favorite Instagram account or website that you draw fashion inspiration from, or another minimalist that you follow?
If we're going to go minimalist type wardrobes, I like Joanna Goddard of Cup of Joe.
Yeah, me too.
Which ironically, like when I started following her way back when, I didn't really view her as a minimalist wardrobe person. It was just lifestyle. Didn't she work for a fashion magazine or something, or still does?
Yeah, I think she did, but now Cup of Joe is entirely her business.
That's it, which, so awesome. But yeah, so I really like her.
Well, she does the beauty profiles of all different types of women, and they talk about what makes them feel beautiful and what clothes that they wear, but it's not, it's like deeper than just looking pretty, and so I do appreciate that.
Yeah, and I honestly, I haven't I haven't been to her site very much recently. One person though that I follow on Instagram and have followed for a really, really long time, probably as long as Cup of Joe, is Bluebird. She was out of Austin. Now she's in Nashville. She has a shop in Nashville. And she has really cool style, like really, really cool style. And it's very minimalistic and simple. And even her store that she owns is really minimalistic. So yeah, we'll link to all of these. So do you have any other ones?
To check that out. Yeah. Like so many of you, I am a huge fan of Unfancy, which is by Caroline Joy Rector. Yeah. And, she is just the queen of the capsule wardrobe.
Yes.
And so what I love about her website is, I said a little bit ago that I'm so not fashionable and I have no idea what's in style. And so I feel like I can go to her website and get a good idea of what are some slightly trendy but classic pieces to add. Mm-hmm. And she posts about her different outfits. I get a lot of inspiration from her website.
Yeah, your style is a lot like hers, I think.
Well,
because you do have style. I want everyone to know that. Kate is super cute.
I don't dress in paper bags.
No. So is there anybody else?
Yeah. Well, okay. So, and then on Instagram, there is an account. She's also a minimalist, and her name is Sarah. Her Instagram is My Pretty Simple Life.
Cool. And
she posts about capsule wardrobes. She does outfit challenges. She does the outfit of the day, and she's a mom. And I like that I can get ideas from her as well.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, let's just be honest. If our clothes aren't comfortable, I'm not wearing them unless I'm forced to.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, man. Does that mean I have to put away my 4-inch heels that I wear to the playground?
Oh, my gosh. I can't even imagine if we saw somebody wearing that. Like, what I would do. I think I would stare. I'm sorry. I would.
You would stare as you're, wearing your old flip-flops and your shorts that you've worn all week.
I know. Yeah, my poor shorts. I'm always like smelling them. I'm like, oh, okay, they're good. Did I just admit that? Yeah, I did.
No. So Melissa's going to focus on adding a pair of shorts to her capsule wardrobe in the future.
Oh, yeah. Oh. Yeah. Well, we are so glad that you joined us today on the Cohesive Home Podcast. I hope that all of this information that we've just kind of thrown at you about our wardrobes has helped you in some little way. Please comment on Instagram for us. We love the conversation that we have with everyone in our community. And I feel like this is a topic that everyone would gain really great insight from other people's input.
You guys are so awesome, and we are so grateful to have you listening to this podcast. We would love it if you would sign up for our newsletter at cohesivehome.com and just make sure to join our community on Instagram. We'll see you next time.